Hello, in this video we're going to discuss something nasty called cognitive governors. This involves control of a person's cognitive thinking and restricting it with cognitive governors telepathically. So firstly, it's telepathy, and it involves brain pattern modulation signature latching, and then the restriction of brain pattern modulation waves. And this restriction is conducted with a counter wave or trough in order to undermine cognitive thinking, going outside the parameters of which offenders have placed. So an example of this would be levels of happiness. So we'll look at levels of happiness. It's actually been put a sort of a gauge of happiness, and it goes in levels, with the highest being joy. Because of cognitive governors, only those that are not connected to telepathy experience joy. So what happens when a person's happy? You have a wave that goes upwards. Then when it reaches happiness, it continues to climb. Then it hits a line the second it strikes happiness. It's detected, and then a counter wave or trough is put in its place through brain pattern modulation in order to undermine happiness and dull it down and push it back down to content. So another place where you would find it is when it comes to attraction with someone. So they do the same here for attraction. So the offenders are against people being together, having relationships, love and lust and sex. So how they go about it is exactly the same way. So you have attraction, and then it's detected, the brain pattern modulation signature, then a counter wave or trough is placed in the brain pattern modulation signature to undermine cognitive thinking and push it back down. So it's sort of a little bit of attraction, not a lot of attraction. And if you go past attraction, then you have lust. There's nothing wrong with lust. It is a human emotion. It means someone is really, really attracted to someone. So it's a higher level. With these restrictions by these offenders, hopefully humankind will understand that someone else is meddling with them telepathically. And then hopefully this will lead to people identifying it and tracing it back to the source, and then arresting the offenders and bringing them to justice. So that's a little bit about cognitive governors. Telepathy involves a latching circuit, and it is points of the brain that are manipulated through telepathic energy in order to create brain pattern modulation signature. So with telepathy, the technology, it detects a person's brain pattern modulation signature and tracks them wherever they go. The equipment is that powerful. No matter where you go, above ground, below ground, in the air, under the ocean, it will still be able to track them. So the energy is able to pass through material. Tin foil hats won't get rid of it. The whole thing needs to be unlatched and gotten rid of. So that process has begun. Heaven is in the process of undermining the cognitive governors and everything else that's involved in order to free humankind's brain pattern modulation signature to become completely free of it. So as the cognitive governors are disabled, you'll find that the line which controls it will move further up until it dissipates. So it might restrict you from happiness, and then the next day it might be higher and it would restrict you from being very, very happy, and then later that line dissipates and a person can become experience joy. On the other side of the coin, the offenders have a happy button and they press it all the time. It creates the brain pattern modulation signature of happiness. For them, in their stupid society, they pay Bitcoin a favor to experience it for 10 minutes, which is ridiculous, while everyone else is denied it. Constant unhappiness is also something that they use and meddle with on people and give people a bad day all day. It is done deliberately through brain pattern modulation signature and an inhibitor. So these offenders that are using this technology like doing that to people. But on the other side of the coin, they experience happiness. They also have another button, confidence. So while other people are busy trying to live their lives and do their jobs or go to school, these people push a confidence button while undermining other people's confidence with an inhibitor. The people that do that most commonly are the handler. So the handler is always present with the victim and undermines their confidence. So that's a few things about cognitive governors and telepathy and how it does not belong in this society at all, and the people responsible need to be brought to justice. I am the Archangel Daniel, and I'm from heaven. Hello. Here is a graph just describing how a governor works against a person's happiness. So in this picture, you would see that a person has become happy over something, and then the governor has detected the brain pattern modulation signature of happiness. Whenever this happens, an alarm goes off, and then negativity is pushed into the brain pattern modulation signature. It's a trough, and its effect on the brain pattern is to bring it down in steps. I showed the negativity as a trough, but it would in fact be steps, but not as significant underneath, in order to bring the brain pattern modulation down from happiness to content again. So this shows how a cognitive governor governs a person's happiness and keeps it from getting too happy. So the kinds of people that are doing this are undermining society for humankind and are very, very controlling. This is also the same with other things too. They can undermine confidence with, for example, fear. And all it is just simply they have a tiny button, they press it, and telepathically it does that to the victim. So this is a description of how cognitive governors work, and hopefully the more people know about them, you'll be able to identify when it happens. Just know this though, they're going to start to stop working, and eventually people remember what it was that the offenders don't want people to remember. Which just brings us on to another subject about memory and the control of what people remember. I'm the Archangel Daniel, and I'm from heaven.